In this video, we are going to discuss Part A, multiple choice question of Chapter 8, which is on ecology. Question number 1. Ecology is the study that deals with, the answer would be D. Organisms and their relation to one another and to their living components. Basically, ecology is the study that is the field of study that deals with interaction between individuals of the same species or interaction between individuals of different species. Okay, so the individuals of the same species may compete for food, for space, for shelter, or even for finding mates to breed. Okay, there is also interaction between individuals of different species. Okay, so that the individual of different species will also compete for food, for space, for shelter, but they will not compete for finding mates because individuals of different species cannot interbreed. Organism can also interact with the non-living components. Non-living components is referring to the abiotic component, okay, which, for example, the influence of the presence of water in that area, okay, will influence the type of organism that will live in that area. Or the climates, okay, or the temperature, or the soils, okay, that are present in that specific habitat will influence the type of organism that live in that habitat. Okay, so basically ecology will involve the both component, which is biotic, the living component, okay, the living component, and abiotic is the non-living component, interaction between biotic and abiotic components. Question 2. Two or more populations occupying the same habitat is called as community. Okay, two or more population. A population, it consists of individuals of the same species that live in the same area, okay, at the same time. Okay, so when a habitat that has two or more population that lives in the same area, so it is known as a community. For example, we have a habitat which is a lake, for example, will have different populations that can live in that lake. For example, there's fish, there's shrimp, for example, there's duck, swan, okay, the aquatic plants, the that lake will have different species living in that same habitat. Okay. Question 3. What is the strategy of prey to avoid itself from being detected by a predator? So the keyword for this question is actually detected. Okay, so it means that the predator will not be able to see the prey even though the prey is present in that area. Okay, so the answer would be cryptic coloration. So what is cryptic coloration? Is that the prey will camouflage. Okay, camouflage itself, make itself harder for the predator to spot the prey. Okay, so it makes the prey difficult to spot. Okay, so that is camouflage. The prey will have, for example, the same coloration as its surrounding. Okay, so for example, let us see for each method or adaptation of prey in order for the prey to be avoided to be eaten by the predator. So what is Petition mimicry? Petition mimicry is when a harmless or a palatable, okay, species that can be eaten, okay, it is not poisonous species, will mimic a harmful or unpalatable species. Okay, so that this mechanism or this adaptation, the predator will avoid, okay, the palatable species, the harmless species, because the predator will assume it is the harmful species. Okay, it is the poisonous species. So that is Petition mimicry. As for the Mullerian mimicry, it is when two harmful species, okay, or two poisonous species or unpalatable species, they mimic each other. Okay, mimic each other. So when two species that are poisonous, they looks alike, okay, the predator will avoid both of the harmful species. Okay, so for example, when the predator first time tries to eat the first harmful species, and the predator will got stung, okay, by the first harmful species. The second time that when the predator tries to eat the second harmful species, it will avoid that harmful species. Okay, so because these two species, they look alike, they are similar to each other in their appearance. Okay, the last one, which is the apostomatic coloration. Basically, apostomatic coloration is when an organism display a bright warning coloration. Okay, because that species is poisonous, so that species will display a bright warning coloration as a warning for the predator, so not to eat that organism. Okay, so it is a bright warning coloration that is exhibited by animals with chemical defense. For example, poisonous frog. Okay, so poisonous frog will have bright warning coloration. So this is so the predator will try to avoid from eating that poisonous frog. Okay, for question number 4, petition mimicry. So what is petition mimicry? Like what I've explained. Okay, it is when harmless species mimics the harmful one. So the answer would be C. Okay, a non-venomous snake is similar to the venomous snake. Okay, the harmless mimics the harmful species. Okay, so let us see for each choices. A frog that has a bright color is what? Apostomatic coloration. Okay, for B, an insect that resembles a leaf. So that one is cryptic coloration. For D, a two or more harmful or unpalatable species develop similar appearance. So that one, okay, two or more harmful or unpalatable. For example, two or more poisonous species mimics each other. So that one is Mullerian mimicry. Okay. Question number 5 is not actually in your syllabus. Okay. You can just ignore, or the answer would be A. Okay, pyramid of number deals with the number of individuals in each trophic level. Question number 6. Resource partitioning will occur in D. Symmetric population of species sharing the same ecological niche. So first, you must understand what is resource partitioning. Okay, so resource partitioning is basically it is an adaptation of different species, for example in the same genus, okay, that they live in the same area and they have to compete for food, for example, for shelter, for space. Okay, so in order to reduce competition between these species, so they will adapt through resource partitioning. So resource partitioning is basically niche differentiation to reduce competition. Okay, so you must understand what is sympatric population. Sympatric population is species, different species. Okay, different species. For example, there are several species of the same genus. Okay, that live in the same area. So they are geographically overlapping. Okay. So when several species of the same genus they live in the same area, they will adapt in order to reduce competition. Okay, so because they are going to compete for food, for space, for shelter. Okay. So in order to reduce competition, these species that live in the same area, okay, sympatric population, will adapt through, for example, they will find food at different times. Okay, one species will find food during the night if they are nocturnal organism, or the other one will hunt for food during the daytime. Okay, so in your notes it gives you example of seven different lizards. Okay, seven different lizard of species of lizard. Okay, that live in the same area, but they will inhabit different part of that habitat. Okay, so for example, one will inhabit at the top of the tree, one will inhabit at the trunk of the tree, for example. The other one will inhabit at the ground. Okay, the other species will inhabit the bush area of that area. Okay, so this is resource partitioning. Through resource partitioning, the competition between species will be reduced, because the different species will find different type of food because they inhabit different part of that habitat. Question 7. Which of the following is correct about exponential growth? The answer would be C. Number of individuals in the population increase rapidly. For a population that is undergo exponential growth, the graph, okay, would be like this. Okay, so for exponential growth, it produces a J-shaped graph or curve. Okay, a J-shaped curve. So what does this mean? So it means that the population, okay, is reproducing at its maximal rate. Okay, so it increases rapidly because why? Because there is no restriction on the ability of the organism to live, grow and reproduce. Okay, there is no restriction. The population is growing in an ideal condition. Okay, so population is growing at or near their biotic potential, which is R. Okay, so what is biotic potential? It is the optimum capacity for the population to increase in ideal condition. Okay, condition. There is no restriction. Ideal condition, it means that there is no restriction on the abilities of the organism to live, grow and reproduce. So that's why the population is able to grow really rapid, okay, increase rapidly at its maximal rate. Okay, there is no restriction. because they are they grow in ideal condition. So you have to read on another type of growth, which is logistic growth. There are two types of population growth. One is exponential growth, the other one is logistic growth. So please read up on logistic growth. Question 8. Which of the following is a biological aspect of an organism niche? Okay, so first you must understand the definition of niche. Okay, so it is the functional role of an organism in an ecosystem and the habitat or physical area where it lives and grows. Okay, so the keyword here would be the functional role of that organism. Okay, what is the function of that organism in the habitat that it lives in? Is it a consumer? So what type of food does it eat? Okay, is it a producer? Okay, so what is the role of that organism in the habitat that it lives in? So obviously the answer for A, B and C is not correct. Okay, so this is the abiotic component. Okay, but the answer would be obviously D, the way that it gets food. Okay, so what type of organism is it? What type of food does the organism feed on? Okay, is it a consumer? So what type of consumer is it? Is it a herbivore? Okay, so what type of plant does it eat? Okay, so is it a carnivore? So what type of other organism does the animal eats? Okay, so is it an omnivore? Okay, what type of plants or other animals does the organism eats? Okay, so that is the functional role of that organism in terms of the type of food that it get feed on. Okay. Question 9. Matter can be recycled because the answer would be C. Biological system does not use up matter but they transform it. So easy example is the carbon cycle. So carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, for example, is used by plant to undergo photosynthesis. Okay, plant to undergo photosynthesis, and through photosynthesis the plant convert carbon dioxide into sugar. Okay, which is food. Okay, which is it serves as food for animal to be used. Okay, so animal use that sugar to undergo cellular respiration, and through cellular respiration the animal produces carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is an easy example of how matter is transformed. Okay, from one type to another type. From carbon dioxide, through photosynthesis it becomes sugar. Sugar is the source of food for animal to undergo cellular respiration to produce energy, and then also the animal will release carbon dioxide as the byproduct of cellular respiration. Okay, so matter are transformed from one form to another form. So for question number 9, which of the following is correct about phosphorus cycle? So if we look at the statement for A, phosphorus is hazardous to animal and plant. So phosphorus is hazardous for animal and plant, but it does not explain on the phosphorus cycle. Okay, so the answer for A is not correct. B. Atmosphere plays a significant role in the movement of phosphorus. Phosphorus cycle is actually a sedimentary cycle. Okay. So when it is a sedimentary cycle, it does not get into the atmosphere. Okay, atmosphere is the air part of the whole earth. Okay. So so the statement is not correct for B. Okay, so phosphorus does not get into the atmosphere. C. Soil microorganism does not act as both sink and sources of available phosphorus in biological cycle. So statement C is not correct. For D, the answer would be D. Okay, phosphorus, this is the most accurate statement. Phosphorus cycle describes the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, which is the earth part, Okay, this the terrestrial part of the earth, the hydrosphere, the water part of the earth, and the biosphere, okay, the part of the earth that has living organism. Okay, so the answer would be D.